In this video, I am going over how to impress scouts in football. I'm going to be giving you exactly what professional scouts for clubs like Chelsea have said they look for in a player. That's coming up next. What's up, guys? It's Dave here from SimplySoccer, where we are helping you to improve your game and stand out on the pitch. And we release videos on soccer tips, skills, drills, and stuff like this to help you do exactly that. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any of the content that we release. Now, in this video, I want to talk about how you can start impressing football scouts so that you can get on better teams or get better known by different teams, so maybe they can scout you in the future or add them to their team. There are a few key things you need to keep in mind when it comes to actually impressing scouts. Now, the first thing I want to mention is understand that many scouts are going to be different. Now, there are going to be some key things that are consistent among most scouts that they're looking for, but some scouts may be looking for one type of player and another might be looking for a totally different type of player. So it might be that you're good enough, but this scout doesn't think you'll fit into their team, while another one might. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you are playing your game to the best of your ability. Essentially, don't try and be something that you're not just to impress a scout. So Gwen Williams, who is a former Chelsea scout, who actually, I believe, scouted John Terry when he was 13, goes over the 2 A's when it comes to scouting a player. And he said that the 2 A's are ability and attitude. And he said that when it comes to ability, he thinks the biggest thing when it comes to ability is their decision making on the pitch. So take that in for a moment. You know, out of every single ability a footballer can have, it wasn't the skill moves that he said was the most important, their shooting ability, their positional sense. Now, all those things are important, but he said that their decision making is the most important when it comes to ability. And think about it, it really makes sense, because you could have the best shot, you could be the most tactically aware, you could be the most physical, you could be the fastest, but if you don't know how to use each of those weapons that you have and you can't use them correctly, depending on the situation, then they're really useless. You know, I could be the most skillful, most tactically aware center midfielder, for example, but if I keep making the wrong pass, or I keep holding on to the ball when I should pass, or things of that nature, decision-making mistakes, then of course I'm not going to be one of the best players on the pitch. So the other A was attitude, and they actually brought up a story of Gareth Bale when he was at Southampton. I believe, I forget if it was Tottenham at the time were scouting him. I know he eventually joined Tottenham, but it might have been another team whose representatives met him. And they said something about Bale. They said he's very humble, yet he's also confident without being arrogant. And they really liked that because, again, confidence is huge in the game, but nothing is going to turn a scout off more than an arrogant 17-year-old who already thinks they've made it before they have. But your attitude is huge when it comes to whether you're going to impress a scout, coach, or really anyone else. And this, I believe, is going to be the same for 99% of scouts. I said that many scouts will be looking for different things, but I think attitude across the board is going to be something that almost all scouts are going to look at. You know, are you someone who's going to lead and persevere, or are you someone who gives up? Are you someone who loses their head in matches when provoked or when you make a mistake? Or do you keep your cool? Are you committed? Do you show up to practice on time? How do you treat the other players? How do you treat the coaches? What is your personality like? Scouts will take that into account. So those are the 2 main things, ability and attitude. And I'm going to give you a few other things I believe are going to help you impress scouts. First is, do you stand out? Do you have an X factor? You know, nothing is going to help you be scouted more than if you're on the pitch and you are obviously the best player, or you were the player who is standing out. You're dominating the game. You're the man of the match. You're the one making things happen. If you're the player where someone can watch the match and completely forgets that you're even playing, then there's a problem there. Now, of course, in some positions, that can be the case. Like a lot of center defensive mids and certain defenders, a lot of their work goes unnoticed. But for the most part, if a scout who will be aware of, you know, of that happening still can't pick you out on the field and you don't stand out to them, then most likely they're not going to be that impressed with you because they don't even know about you. They're not even aware of you. So you need to be so good that you stand out at whatever level you're playing at now. Next is, how is your tactical awareness? And a lot of this has to do with positioning. Are you taking up the right positions, or are you constantly out of position? When you don't have the ball, are you in the right space that you need to be in, or are you taking up someone else's space, or are you not where you need to be? Tactical awareness is huge, and this has to do, again, with decision making. This has to do with soccer intelligence, soccer IQ, because if you are not getting into the right positions, or even worse, you're in someone else's position or in the wrong position, that is only going to hurt the team. It doesn't matter how good you are physically, skill-wise at that point, if you're not getting into the right positions and your tactical awareness isn't good. And the last thing I want to give you is something that will vary from scout to scout and team to team, but it's your physical attributes. And the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, a lot of teams, a lot of scouts will dismiss smaller players, will dismiss players they think are weaker. Now, there's a reason for that, but a lot of times you'll hear stories of players who are rejected because of their size, only to go on and make it to the top of the game or make it to the highest level. But sometimes a scout will overlook you because of that. Now, you can be doing everything you can to make sure that you are physically capable, that you are doing the strength training you need to do, that you are doing the speed and conditioning training. Oh, and just to throw this in there, if you're not fit, a scout will never consider you. So I'm hoping that's a kind of a no-brainer. If you're out of shape and you're on the pitch and you're huffing and puffing after 10 minutes, then that's red flag immediately for anyone who's scouting you or scouting the game or whatever. But yeah, your physical attributes will definitely determine with some scouts whether you're going to fit their team or not. One thing I want to say though is if you're someone who just is a smaller player, you're shorter, whatever it is, don't get discouraged, because there will be teams, if you stand out in other ways, like you're very skillful, you are a great goal scorer, whatever it is, and you're still able to have influence in the game, they will still want you in their team. But understand that if you can control it, if you can be doing more strength training, more speed training, more conditioning training in order to help strengthen those physical attributes, you definitely want to start doing that. But don't get discouraged if someone says, hey, we really like you, but you're too small. Because honestly, I think that's too many players are overlooked for that reason. Now, if you're getting pushed around in the match, for example, and you really lack the strength, you really lack the speed, then yes, you need to work on those things. But don't get discouraged if that happens. Keep going. You'll get your break if you're a good enough player. You just have to persist. Question of the day, guys, is when have you impressed a scout or a coach that was watching? Let me know down in the comments. I've had a few moments after games where scouts or coaches have come up to me and congratulated me on a good performance or something like that. So let me know your stories down below. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you like it and you subscribe now if you have not. Make sure you also get my free 7-day confidence course if you haven't already. That will be linked down below, along with a bunch of other great stuff for you in the description. Guys, I want to thank you once again for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.